I want to ask you, and this is something I have been kind of looking into and not fully grasping totally. There's a key word going around these days, a triggering word, if I may, called ring fencing.
Yeah.
And it's, to my understanding, it's this idea that, it's, in just simple terms, I would call it consolidated accounting. But would you be able, in very simple terms, be able to break that down for me?
Absolutely. So imagine that you have a sweetie shop, a little sweetie stall, and you're selling, your biscuits, you're selling, your toffees and your mints every single day. And you're making a profit from this one sweetie stall. And so your sister comes along and she says, you know what? I want a sweetie stall too. How about you give me your profits from your sweetie stall and I will use it to make my own? That is what happens in the absence of ring fencing. If you have ring fencing, which means that Alex's sweetie stall, the profits from it, that handles the expenses related to that stall. If your sister would like to create her own, she has to make her own investment. Even if Alex would like to create a second stall, you would now take a separate set of revenue. If you would like to take a loan, or if you want to borrow some money from your sister, if you want to borrow some money from your mom, and you would take the money that you borrowed or that you got and make the investment in that second initiative. And then when the profits from that start rolling, you use the profits from that to take care of whatever expenses are related to that project. So, in simple terms, each project must pay for itself.
Yeah.
Now, let's relate that to the Stabroek Block agreement. The Stabroek Block is a massive, it's one of the largest deep water concessions that you have in this decade right now. There aren't many companies that can boast of having a concession that large. It's so large that Exxon can see having 10 FPSOs, and not just 10, at least 10 FPSOs on that single concession, on that single block. It's really, really large. So, what's happening is, in the absence of ring fencing, Guyana currently has three projects on stream or operating. You have Liza 1, you have Liza 2, and Prosperity, or what you call Payara, sorry. Prosperity is the name of the vessel that is operating in the Payara project, which is the third. So you have those three projects operating. Now, what's happening is Exxon is able to use the profits or the revenues made from those three projects to invest in having other projects come on stream at a much faster rate. As opposed to, if they were ring fencing in place, they probably would have had to taken a loan or explore some other type of financing to get those projects on board. But the government is saying that it sees benefits in not having ring fencing or not imposing ring fencing, because it allows the projects to come on faster. Kaieteur News's position is that while that is so, there are two disadvantages. One, the monies, if I have paid off for one project, Liza 1 already, it means that the profits would be higher for us to share. If I've completed paying off for it and there's now 200 barrels, that means I get 100, you get 100. But in the absence of ring fencing, you can say, hey, you know what, Alex, hold 50. because I need this 150 to go to something else. I needed to get another project rolling. So many organizations like the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, they have advised that the one of the pros of ring fencing is that it delays more revenues from coming to the country. Because if you had it in place, you'd be able to pay off for projects and way quickly, way more, or at a faster pace, and you'd be able to have more revenues to share between company and state.
Sorry, you said ring fencing. You mean it would give us our profits faster?
Yes, it would.
So we're basically right now without ring fencing we're doubling down, hoping that the production increases and we get a bigger share later on.
Yes.
Obviously, this could be affected if oil prices just
Right.
totally dip in the future,
Right.
and then we potentially lose out.
Right.
Yeah, very interesting. A quick question. People would ask, why does, or at least I want to know, why does Exxon have the ability to use our profits or to make that decision to invest in other projects? Is that part of the contract?
Yes. So, in the absence of ring fencing, since we don't have any provision in the contract, so just to back up a bit, some countries would normally put a provision that says you can only use the revenues made from this project to deal with the expenses related to that project alone. Guyana did not have the foresight to include such a provision in the production sharing agreement. So we're at a loss. We have left a loophole for them to have the power to take the revenues and use for other projects. So the contract allows them to do that. And another important thing I just want to raise, there's a provision in the contract, it's called a stabilization provision. And that simply says that the economics of the project, of the entire field, whatever Exxon deems that to be, if they have calculated it, you know what? At the end of the day, we've discovered this, and so we have calculated that we have to make, for example, 400 billion. Should Guyana put anything in place that affects the economics, we have to compensate the company.
So, okay. So if we put ring fencing in now, and they don't make 400 billion, then we have to compensate for that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But this is for the Stabroek whole of Stabroek block.
Yes. This
Okay.
for any project that goes there.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.